Make sure you put your name, the today's date, and the period. Here's your essential question. It says, how do you find the distance between 2 points on a coordinate plane? And this is going to be diagonal lines, not horizontal or vertical, all diagonals. And here is our formula. That's very important right here. It's like, woohoo, right here is our very important formula that you really got to know. I want to highlight it so that we can see it real clear. And it's just being able to put the points in here. Notice it's x2 minus x1 with this square plus y2 minus y1 with the square, and it's all over the square root. Okay, on our first example here it says, find the length of the segment round to the nearest tenth, which is 1 decimal. And I'm going to pull the points off so we can see it, that the first point is going to be 1, 2, and then our second point, I'm going to change colors, is B, would be 7, 4. And the reason I changed colors so you can see how I label the points. Be x1, y1, and then x2, y2. And the reason is for the formula. If I go to the formula, your distance from A to B, I'm going to put little subscript AB, is going to be these points that I have in my coordinates. So I'm going to put the basic stuff that never changes on my formula there. And now I'm just going to pull in my values. So let me zoom in a little bit. And my formula says I want x2 minus x1. If I look at my values, x2 is a 7. Then I have a minus the x1. Minus was a part of the original problem, so I'm going to put minuses in my parentheses. I forgot to put. So I have the 7 minus the 1, which is coming from x1. And then the y values, it says up here I have y2 minus y1. So y2 is 4 minus y1, that is the number 2. Now all I got to do is grab your calculator and we're going to plug it into our calculator. Now this big old long square root, if I zoom out just a little bit so I can see my calculator, is located on my x squared button. It is above it, it's in blue. So to access all items in blue, I'm going to push the second button and then the x squared button, and it gives me my square root. Now my formula has a parentheses, so I'm going to open up with a parenthesis, and then a 7 minus 1, close your parenthesis, and then it's got a little square. Remember, your square is that same button as a square root, except for not the second button. It has an x with a little 2. So I'm going to put the square. And then I have a plus sign and another open parentheses, and then 4 minus 2, close your parentheses, and then another square. So as long as you've got everything underneath that square root, that big old long square root sign, that line is above everything, then you're good to go. We're going to push enter. And we come out with 6.3245 and on and on and on. My distance from A to B is equal, and since I'm going to the nearest tenth, that means I'm going to put 6.3 for my distance. That will be my answer. Okay. If I look at example 2, it says the endpoints of two segments are given. So I have segments RS as well as segment TU, and they give me my endpoints. It says find each length and then tell whether the segments are going to be congruent or not. So I've got actually 3 answers I'm looking for here. I want to tell each segment's length. So I'm going to do the distance of RS so I filled out the basic form that never changes. And if I look back at my coordinates, the 5 will be my x1, the 6 will be my y1, then I'm going to place the 11 as x2, and the -2 is my y2. So if I fill it in, let me change colors since I used the wrong color for my setup. My formula, x2 minus x1. x2 is 11 minus x1, which was 5. And then the formula asks for y2 minus y1, so y2 is a -2, and the y1 is 6. Okay, grab your calculator. Let's type this one in. I'm going to clear what I had, do second square root, and then I'll have 11 minus 5 parentheses squared plus, open your parentheses, and I have -2 minus 6 parentheses and square this one. Okay, so you should have that on your calculator. I push enter, I come out with exactly 10. So that means the distance, well, actually I'm just going to put RS equals 10. There's one answer. Okay, go to the second one. I'm going to do TU this time. So the distance from T to U, I'll put my basic stuff on my distance formula that does not change. And now I'm going to fill it in. If I look at my coordinates, T, I'm going to label as x1 and y1. U will be my x2 and my y2. So when I pull it over, remember I have x2 minus x1. So x2 is 3 minus -7. And then y2 is 9 minus y1. That is also 9. Alright, grab a calculator, type it in. Second square root, parentheses, 3 minus -7 squared, plus, parentheses, 9 minus 9, parentheses, squared. Okay, I got mine in. I push enter, I come out with 10. So that means TU, without any notations, equals 10. There's my second answer. And now the third one says, tell whether the segments are congruent. Are these two segments congruent? Yes, they are. So I'm going to say RS, and it's the segment, so put your segment symbol, is congruent to TU, and make sure you put your segment notation. If these two segments were not the same length, then I'd have the same symbol, but except for I have one line drawn through the equals part. And this is your final answer. Alright, you have one independent practice problem. It says, what is the approximate length from AB with the endpoints? And oh, I forgot to put the endpoints on there. So we're going to say A is going to have endpoints -3, 2, and then B is going to have endpoints 1, -4. And if this is a decimal, we're going to go to the nearest tenth. That is 1 decimal place. Alright, I want you to work this, and then we'll check to see if you have the right answer. Alright, plugging this all in and filling in my distance formula, I came out with my answer being 7.2. So if you came out with the same answer, draw yourself a smiley face showing that you got your answer correct. Okay, make sure you fill out your summary to get your notes completed on how to use the distance formula to find the distance between 2 points.